Stop me if you've been here before. You have a perfect idea for an image. You type it into your AI generator. You ask for a simple coffee shop scene with a chalkboard menu that lists the daily specials. You hit enter. You wait. And what you get back is a nightmare. The chalkboard looks like it's written in a mix of ancient hieroglyphics and melting plastic. The barista has 3 arms, and the lighting looks like it belongs in a video game from 2010. For the last 3 years, this has been the AI tax. We accepted that if we wanted AI art, we had to deal with the hallucinations, the bad spelling, and the physics that made 0 sense. We treated these tools like slot machines. You pull the lever 20 times, hoping to get 1 jackpot. But earlier this week, a collaboration between the video AI unicorn Higgsfield and Google quietly went live, and it effectively breaks that slot machine. It's called Nano Banana Pro. Yes, the name sounds ridiculous. We'll get to why later. But the tech underneath is terrifyingly good. It's the first time we aren't just asking an AI to dream, we are asking it to think. We are talking about a model that understands how to spell complex sentences, understands that 3 cups means mathematically 3 objects, and generates in native 4K resolution without needing to be upscaled. It's a shift from random generation to reasoned creation. But to understand why this specific model is making professional designers delete their other subscriptions, we have to look at the engine under the hood, because it's doing something previous AIs were physically incapable of doing. But before we crack open this engine, if you want to test what we're about to talk about yourself, Higgsfield is currently running a massive launch campaign. You can get unlimited Nano Banana Pro generations for 1 full year if you jump in right now. It's a limited window for early adopters. Click the link in the video description below to lock that in so you can follow along with the rest of this video. So, why have AI models been so bad at hands and text until now? It's not because they are stupid, it's because they are blind. Traditional diffusion models, the tech behind Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and the older DALL-E, are essentially pattern matchers. They've seen a billion pictures of hands, but they don't know what a hand is. They don't know a hand has 5 fingers and a palm. They just know that hand-colored pixels usually cluster in a specific shape. That's why you get 6 fingers. It's a statistical guess, not a logical decision. Nano Banana Pro changes the fundamental architecture by doing what I call a brain transplant. Higgsfield took their cinematic diffusion model and fused it with Google's brand new Gemini 3 reasoning model. This is a massive deal. Gemini 3 isn't an image model, it's a logic model. It's a large language model designed to reason, do math, and understand causality. When you type a prompt into Nano Banana Pro, the diffusion engine doesn't start drawing immediately. First, the Gemini 3 pre-flight brain analyzes your request. It breaks it down logically. If you ask for a futuristic cereal box, Gemini understands that boxes are rectangular solids. It understands that if there is text on the box, the text needs to be flat against the surface, distorted by perspective, and spelled correctly. It builds a logical blueprint, almost like a wireframe or a sketch, and only then does it hand that blueprint over to the Higgsfield engine to paint the pixels. It's the difference between asking a talented painter to draw a building from memory versus giving an architect's blueprint to a builder. One is an artistic guess, the other is a structural construction. This thinking before drawing approach solves the biggest headache in the industry: prompt adherence. You no longer have to beg the AI. If you say, "on the left," it puts it on the left. If you say, "blue tie," it's a blue tie. But having a brain is useless if you can't communicate effectively. And this brings us to the one feature that has been driving designers crazy for 3 years, which Nano Banana Pro has finally solved. If you work in marketing, advertising, or design, you know the pain. You generate a beautiful image of a storefront, but the sign above the door says gibberish. You then have to take that image into Photoshop, stamp out the bad text, find a matching font, warp it to fit the perspective, and blend the lighting. It turns a 10-second generation into a 30-minute editing job. Nano Banana Pro is being called the text killer for a reason. Because Gemini 3 understands language as information rather than just shapes, it treats text differently than the rest of the image. We tested this with a prompt, a futuristic cereal box labeled Crunch Logic, with a badge saying 100% fiber in a bold serif font. In older models, you'd get Crinch Lijock. In Nano Banana Pro, the spelling was perfect. The font weight was correct. And most impressively, the text was integrated into the texture of the box. It had grain, it had lighting reflections. It looked printed, not just pasted on. And it doesn't stop at English. The viral demos we're seeing on Twitter show this model handling complex scripts like Hindi, Japanese, and Arabic. These are languages with intricate character connections that usually break AI models immediately. Nano Banana Pro renders them with legible, native-level accuracy. But text is just one part of visual reasoning. The model also does math. If you ask for 3 cups of coffee, it gives you 3. Not 4, not 2, 3. It can draw a whiteboard with the equation E equals mc squared, and the variables are actually in the right place. For educational creators or people making explainer content, this is huge. You can finally generate a diagram of a triangle with sides labeled A, B, and C, and the labels will actually correspond to the sides. It turns the AI from an artist into an illustrator that follows instructions. However, perfect text and accurate counting are great, but they don't matter if the person holding the sign looks like a different person in every single photo you generate. That's the next massive hurdle this model cleared, and it's going to change how we tell stories. One of the most requested features in the history of generative AI has been consistency. Imagine you are making a comic book, or a storyboard for a film, or a marketing campaign for a brand mascot. You generate a character, let's call her Sarah. In the first image, Sarah looks great. But in the next image, where she's turned to the side, she suddenly has a different nose shape. In the third image, her eye color changes. It breaks the immersion immediately. Nano Banana Pro introduces a feature called identity anchors, or stronger face control. Because the underlying Gemini model can analyze the geometry of a face, it can lock on to specific features, bone structure, eye distance, jawline shape, and carry them across different seeds. You can upload a reference photo or generate a person from scratch, name them, and then put them in 50 different scenarios. You can have Sarah drinking coffee, Sarah skydiving, and Sarah giving a presentation, and it is undeniably the same person. The expressions are natural, avoiding that dead-eyed, uncanny valley stare we're used to. This isn't just for people either, it works for products. If you are a brand designer, you can feed the model your specific bottle design. You can then generate that bottle on a beach, on a kitchen counter, or in a backpack, and the label layout and bottle shape stay consistent. It allows for what we call synthetic photography, creating a photo shoot without ever picking up a camera. This level of control is what moves AI from a toy to a tool. Agencies can now build entire campaigns around a consistent virtual influencer or a specific product SKU without worrying about the AI hallucinating a new logo every time. But we have the brains, the text, and the consistent faces. Usually, when you get all that control, you sacrifice the raw beauty of the image. You get that plastic, smooth AI look that screams computer-generated. Well, Nano Banana decided to break that rule too, and they did it by throwing out the industry-standard resolution. Most of the 4K images you see on the internet are lies. Here is the secret. Most AI models generate images at 1024 by 1024 pixels. That is a square, fairly low-resolution image. When you see them looking crisp on a 4K monitor, it's because they have been upscaled. An algorithm took the small image and stretched it, guessing at the missing details to smooth out the edges. It looks okay from a distance, but zoom in and everything looks like smooth oil paint. Nano Banana Pro is different. It offers native 4K generation. This means it isn't stretching a small image. It is calculating the light and texture for every single pixel at full resolution from the start. When you zoom into a portrait generated by Nano Banana Pro, you don't see smooth noise. You see skin pores. You see the tiny vellus hairs on a person's cheek. You see the individual threads in a cotton shirt. This matters for one big reason: print. For the first time, performance marketers and OOH, out-of-home advertisers, can generate an asset and put it on a billboard or a magazine full-page ad without it looking like sludge. This capability also extends to what Higgsfield calls data-aware images. Because of that high resolution and the Gemini logic we talked about earlier, you can generate complex things like app dashboards or infographics. If you ask for a mobile banking app screen showing a savings graph trending up, the model uses the resolution to draw crisp, thin UI lines and legible numbers. It places the buttons where a human thumb would actually reach, mimicking good UX design. It's rapid prototyping on steroids. You aren't just getting a pretty picture. You are getting a usable mock-up that looks like a screenshot from a real device. This combination of logic and fidelity essentially removes the uncanny valley from object generation. A whiteboard looks like a whiteboard. A chart looks like a chart. The numbers add up, and the pixels are sharp. So, is Nano Banana Pro the perfect AI? It's certainly the smartest. By fusing Google's reasoning capabilities with Higgsfield's visual engine, we are witnessing the end of the slot machine era of AI art. We are entering the director era. The frustration of re-rolling prompts 100 times to get the text right is disappearing. The annoyance of characters changing faces is being solved. The limitations of low-resolution outputs are being removed. We are moving toward a world where the barrier between the idea in your head and the image on your screen is almost zero. The tool finally listens. It understands that a hand has 5 fingers, that words need to be spelled correctly, and that a brand needs to look the same in every shot. It's funny that a tool with a name as silly as Nano Banana is the one to bring us the most serious, professional-grade capabilities we've seen yet. But maybe that's fitting. The technology is becoming invisible, leaving us with just the creative potential. If you want to start directing instead of gambling with your images, this is the time to jump in. Higgsfield is offering unlimited Nano Banana Pro generations for 1 full year if you sign up right now. This is the kind of offer that usually disappears once the user base gets too big, so don't wait on it. Click the link in the video description below, grab the deal, and start creating images that actually make sense. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.